There was a town that the Rav announced one day that he's moving to Israel. He's going to Eretz Yisrael. Talking more than 100 years ago. This was a big deal, moving to Eretz Yisrael. So everyone came to be Mekabel Ponim, to say goodbye to the Rav for the last time. You know, you go to Eretz Yisrael, you don't come back so quickly. You know, like in Hilchas Yom Tov, there's a whole discussion about a person that Ben Chutz Loretz that came to Eretz Yisrael, Ben Chutz Loretz. But like, it's like a small seif, like it's a sort of a sif cotton in the Shulchan Aruch. You wonder. This was a question that everyone had from you know, it was over 2,000 years. How come this is an obscure? You know, you have a little bit. Because people didn't travel that much back and forth. You know, if you went to Eretz Yisrael, you went to Eretz Yisrael. So everyone came to say goodbye to the Rav. And then the Rav had a special goodbye, Mesiba, with his Talmidim. He had a yeshiva and he had Talmidim. He told the Talmidim, you know, every day, at the end of the day, I used to learn from you from a Musa Sefer. But I never told you where the Sefer is. The front page was out, and I told you it's a good Sefer, so I might as well learn. And we learned one Pedic after the other, for all these years. Now this Rav, it was a town, they couldn't afford to pay that much to the Rav. So he asked them if they wouldn't mind that every year after Pesach, for 3 months, he's going to travel around the country. Like those days they had Magidim. Like today they call them inspirational speakers. Then they called them a Magidim. A little bit of a fancier name. So, Darshonim. So,
okay, good night. Everybody.
Thank you.
Good night.
Town said sure, if you can make additional income by giving droshes. Gesundheit.
And Thursday, Friday, this one afternoon, this one for 3 hours?
Yeah, Friday.
Friday?
Yeah.
Only this Friday?
Yeah.
Okay. Mister, maybe me no come this one and my friend come this one the clay.
He doesn't. You just know how to get it. What?
We work in this one in Manhattan, this one Friday.
She come.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
Adios.
So they agreed. He used to go out after Pesach for 3 months. He told them, what do you think? I think I went around to saying droshes and magidas.
Here's your cell phone.
You think I got paid
Yes,
per drosha?
Here's your cell phone.
Make a mitzvah.
I'm a chosed at Tzemach Tzedek. And every year I used to go to the Tzemach Tzedek to spend time by the Tzemach Tzedek, to be shvuas by the Tzemach Tzedek. And this sefer I was teaching you, the sefer is a Tanya. If you want to know a good place to go to the Tzemach Tzedek.
Go to where?
To the Tzemach Tzedek. He said, but do me a favor, don't make a big deal out of it. So many of his Talmidim went, a huge oilam went to Lubavitch, and they became Chassidim of the Tzemach Tzedek.
Using mitzvah?
Yeah. So they came back, and they already started to daven Nusach Arizal and so on.
Thank you.
And one of the Chassidim became the Shoichet in the city. And then there was a shaila about who's going to be the Rav. So they wanted one of the Chassidim should be Rav. So the people of the town said that it's not fair. The guy's taking over the whole city. I'm sorry, I'm saying it wrong. The Rav was a Chassid, but there was a shaila who should be the Shoichet. So they went.
More than one?
They had 2 people. One is a Rav and one is a Shoichet. So they came to the Tzemach Tzedek. The Tzemach Tzedek said, they said that the people were right. You can't have a monopoly. The Chassidim have everything. Let the Shoichet be the Chassid, and let the Rav be a Misnagid.
Why?
Huh?
Because the chassid is Yer Shemayim and the Rav doesn't have to be Yer Shemayim.
Are they Pirush Rashi?
No, I know because my Zayda was a sheikhid in a town where there was the same exact thing what the Rav was talking about.
That was the deal, yeah. The Chassidim used to say, the Misnagid will be the Rav, the Chassid will be the Shoichet.
Late too?
There's a lot of practical considerations to this arrangement too. The Rav is very busy. He has to pass on Shilas. Presumably the Rav is a Yer Shemayim, he's a Talmid Chacham. What's the difference if he's a Chassid or Misnagid? But in the Shoichet in those towns wasn't that busy. So he was like a figure. He was a choshev person. He was a person that had hashpah on the people. So he would typically maybe give an ein Yaakov shir and so on, have hashpah on people. That's what the Tzemach Tzedek wanted. Perhaps that's my pshat. A story of the Tzemach Tzedek. There was a fellow that was in terrible debt. Gefährlich in Chayvis. He thought to himself, let me sell. He had a big house. He said, sell the house, pay up all my debt, have a little bit of money left in my pocket, so I won't live in this house. I'll rent a little chatke. I'll live peacefully without any chayvis, people running after me for chayvis. Came to Tzemach Tzedek to ask for bracha. Tzemach Tzedek said, you're not selling your house. Okay, a chazit. Came back. A few months later, the chayvis, everyone's begging for their money. And what does he need his house for? Sell his house, pay up his debt, and go live somewhere in a little house, pay rent again. Not everyone has to own a house. So what's like said, no, keeping your house. So finally he gave in. He decided not even going to Tzemach Tzedek. He went, he sold his house, paid up all his debts, mechaya, tranquility and quiet. He rented himself a little house. Right after that he died. So they asked Tzemach Tzedek about it. This is Ruach HaKodesh. So he said, no, it's very simple. Chazal say that some people, chayim enim chayim, their life is not a life. And one of them is a person that owes money to everyone. If he owes money to the butcher, the baker, the candlestick maker, he's a bal choiv to everyone. So that's chayim enim chayim. Now, what do you mean chayim enim chayim? They're alive. They get chayis is from a place that's called Einam Chayim. So I knew that this is the only way this guy is going to live. The only way he's going to live is from that source called Einam Chayim. That's why I told him not to sell his house. So he's going to have the chayvis and he's going to have all the tzoras in his head, but he's going to live. He didn't listen. It's an amazing thing. Sometimes we have some tzoras in our life. I think if we could just take care of that problem. Just take care of that problem. Alts gewaltig. Avada gewiss that a Yid has to always ask the Rebbeinu Shalom for all the best in our life. That's what we have to ask. We don't have to negotiate on the Eibish's behalf. He doesn't need advocates. We don't have to help him out. Zicher that we have to ask for everything we need. Like Ishbernesa, the Chazal say to ask for everything. But Lamaisa, we have to know that sometimes in life there is something that seems to us so important and such a headache. If we just could wipe away that headache in life, we'll give it all's good. But little do we know that we're alive because of that headache. Like this chassid, because of these chayvus, he was alive. When he sold his house, he paid up his chayvus and shegandik. He didn't live anymore. In Lubavitch, they built a big base medrash in the chutz, in the courtyard of. This is a new story. Story number 3. In Lubavitch, they built a new Beis HaKnesses in the courtyard. It was a big simcha. They put up tables. All the chassidim came. Tzemach Tzedek came to the Mesiva. He asked the Chassidim if they want to hear a mimer or they want to hear a story. Like I tell my kids always Baal Shem Tov stories. So I tell them, Baal Shem Tov asked, do you want to learn or do you want we should take a trip? So I said, I asked the kids, well, what do you think the Talmudim answered?
I just found my copy of Shivchei Habesh.
Shivchei Baal Shem Tov, yeah.
I had one. I didn't know what it was. Just found it.
They say those stories are very reliable.
Yeah.
So, the Chassidim said they'd like to hear a story. So he said there was the Heilige Ruzhina, that Tzemach Tzedek had very, very high esteem of the Bisol of Ruzhin. The Heilige Ruzhina had a chosid, was Nebuch, a beggar, an Ottoman. He used to rent from another. There was a wealthy Jew who the Poritz gave him, like sort of, gave him, leased to him, entire town and the mill and everything. And he used to rent it out individually. He paid one big check, one big fat check to the Poritz, and he would collect the rent from every little place. So this poor chassid, Rabbi Yaakov, rented a little place from him, but he could never pay the rent. So the wealthy Jew said, look, you're not paying the rent, you can't pay. I'll try to get someone else to take over your place. No, he said, I'm going to lose my house, I'll lose my parnosa. He went to his Rebbe, to the Heilige Ruzhina. So the Ruzhina said, bring the rich man, bring him here. It was also his name, they both had the same name, Yaakov. We'll call him Rabbi Yaakov Ish Tom. He was a nice person, a good person. So when the Ruzhina said, please do a favor, a poor family, don't kick him out in the streets, he said, okay. Wipe away the debt. And you know what? The rent, I cut it in half. But Mayoim, you have to pay. Okay. The year ends, never paid. He wants to kick him out again. Chazal comes to the Ruzhina, what am I going to do with my family? I'd like to talk to Rabbi Yaakov Ish Tom. So he brings the wealthy man. He says, Arachmona Sayyid, do my toiva. He says, okay. I wipe away the debt. But you have to pay. By the time it was the third time, he didn't want interest. He wasn't interested. I called him to the tzaddik, and said, Arachmona. He said, you don't understand. This is it's a business. I have to pay too. I'm making a profit, but I have to pay too. No one's going to pay me. What's going to be with me? This is a business. I can't. I'm sorry. The Rebbe could do his own business the way it is. He'd like to do business. But this is my business, and I have to kick this guy out. I have to get someone else that can actually make a go at the business and pay me rent. He kicked him out. Now, when they came to Olam HaEmes, he was a nice person. But a whole bunch of malachim came to him and said, a nasty person. He kicked a Jewish family out of their house, and he took away their source of income. There was a Bez and Shomayla said, they're right. They have a point. This fellow was very smart. He said, look, Bez and Shomayla, they have no right to say a thing about my case. What do they know? What do they know about the value of money and how difficult it is to make a buck in this world? So Bez and Shomayla said, you know what, you're right. You're right. So what should we do? He said, I want a Jewish Bezdin. They said, okay, we're going to send a case to two of the biggest poskim, one from Ashkenaz and one from Sfarad. We'll send the case to the Beis Yosef and the Bayis Chodesh, the Be'el Circus. I said, sounds good. Verdict came back guilty. He said, you know the problem is, he said, the Beis Yosef and the Be'el Circus are great people. They haven't lived in this world for hundreds of years. They forgot already exactly what a dollar is, what a ruble is. I'd like that they should ask a posek in this world that's alive and that knows how difficult it is to make money. He should pass him. Tzemach Tzedek said, He said, what do you think should be the psak din? I say, as gerecht. That Rabbi Akivish Tom is correct. He's right. All the Chassidim stood up and they screamed out 3 times, gerecht, gerecht, gerecht. And that was it. They understood that the Tzemach Tzedek was now the person that was chosen to pass from the Shaila, and they were going to be the best to answer the question. In the later years, as I told you Sunday, the Rebbe used to talk a special sikha every single night of Simchas Beis HaSheyeva. Every single night. And he would talk about the significance of the Ushpizin of that night and how that connects to Simchas Beis HaSheyeva. In general, when you learn Chassidus about a certain Yom Tov, the Rebbe said, you find that this Yom Tov is the greatest Yom Tov. There is no Yom Tov, Rosh Hashanah, Atzmos, that's the greatest. There's nothing like him to come to Yom Kippur. Yom Kippur is the biggest, nothing bigger than Yom Kippur. The Sukkos, as Maichem was saying, then you get to Shmini Atzeres. Shmini Atzeres is the greatest. There's Simchas Torah. Every Yom Tov, you look in Chassidus, that's the greatest. The Rebbe says it's not a joke. It's not l'chadudi. It's like, it's the Gemara says that Rabbi Ami asked to Rabbi Bo, he said, Avuach b'maya v'zoh tvei, on a Shabbos of Kuf Yud Ches. He said, what was your special mitzvah your father was careful in? The Alter Rebbe said, what do you mean special mitzvah? Every Yid has to do 630 mitzvahs. But he said, no, the Alter Rebbe explains in the Geras HaKodesh that there is a gate, that through that gate all the other mitzvahs go. So he asked him, what was the gate? There's one mitzvah that every person has, that's their special mitzvah. And through that, all the other mitzvahs shine. Zohir, Zehirus, Loshem, Zehirus, Zoyar. What was the gate that was your father's special mitzvah, that all the other mitzvahs shine through that mitzvah? When we're standing in a Yom Tov, we're standing and saying the 4 days between Yom Kippur and Sukkot, which is such a special time. Say that Jews don't even have a chance to do an Aveda in these 4 days. So it's Keneged Yud Kei Vav Kei. If you're really living with this, like the Alter Rebbe said, Leb Medatzait, you're living with the time. This becomes the gate to everything else. So right now you see that this is the greatest thing. There's nothing greater. Everything else goes through this. When you come to the next Yom Tov, you see it the other way. You see that Yom Tov is the gate, and everything else is going through there. With this, the Rebbe explained his attitude. Every night, Simcha B'Shevet, the Rebbe say, tonight is the biggest Simcha, and he talk about how that night is bigger than all the other nights. So he said, what kind of kunz is this? Every night it's like a dash, and we found a kunz to figure out every night is the greatest night. So last night, he said that last night is the greatest night. Tonight you say, tonight is bigger than all the... What's the kunz? No, because when we're mamish living with the time, we see that the gewalt of that night, and when you first night of comes the first night of Sukkot, come into the Sukkah and you talk about the Ushpizin of Avram Avinu and the Baal Shem Tov, and you see that that's the gate of everything. All the other Ushpizin come too, but they're the Ikru Ushpizin. The other ones go with them. And the second night you talk about Yitzchak and the Maggid, and they're the Ikru Ushpizin. Everyone else comes with them. Third night is Yaakov and Alter Rebbe. And again, they're the Ikr, and we talk about them and what the lesson we can learn from them. We tell stories about them. And versteht sich. But they are the Ikr. And the fourth night is Moshe Rabbeinu and the Mittel Rebbe, and that's the Ikr. And we covered the first 4 nights Sunday. Now we're going to cover the 5th, 6th, and 7th.
What to Moshe Rabbeinu?
We're up to Aaron HaKohen.
Oh, okay.
Aaron HaKohen and the Tzemach Tzedek. So we just covered 3 stories of the Tzemach Tzedek. And what's the lesson? And what do they have in common? And what do they have different? We spoke about every one. or the Ushpizin, what they have in common and how they're different. So how they're in common, simple. Aaron Chazal say, Oyev Shalom, Roid of Shalom, Oyev Esabriyas Mkarvel L'Torah. Tzemach Tzedek, same thing. Till the days of the Tzemach Tzedek, there was a big divide, there was Machloikis, Masnagdim, Chassidim. Tzemach Tzedek traveled to Vilna. There's several accounts, not from Chassidim, Dafka from Masnagdim. There's a book that I like very much, 6 books, Soria Meya. This guy, he was Sara Datot in the was from the signers of the Declaration of Independence. I told you, who the fisherman Maimon. So he told him that the Aruch HaShulchan told him that old people told him that they were in Vilna when the Tzemach Tzedek came to Vilna. And Misha Loiro, Kovad HaTorah, the person that didn't see the Kabbalah's ponim that Vilna made for the Tzemach Tzedek, Loiro, Kovad HaTorah Miyamov. That's what the Aruch HaShulchan told him. In other words, the Tzemach Tzedek had such a spectacular, made such a shalom. The Kabbalah's ponim was so nice, was so beautiful. There was such a beautiful shalom. It was remarkable. So Aaron is the union of shalom, and Tzemach Tzedek is the union of shalom, making shalom by Yidden. That's what they have in common, and that's what we have to learn from them. How are they different? And so, this night we have to learn. Aaron is our guest. Aaron is our oirach. So, versteht sich, Aaron is telling us about the importance of Avas Yisrael. How are they different? So, l'choyre, they're very different.
Well, Aaron is the Kayan.
Right, exactly. And also the way they made Achdus, says the Rebbe, is l'choyre very different. Aaron Chazal say there was an argument between a husband and a wife. That's why the women also cried for him, right? In the Chumash this week, there's a bracha. In other words, between Anoshim Shut also. Tzemach Tzedek spent the time making a good relationship with Gedolei Yisrael, which originally they were misnagdim and they were against, and it was not only it was a shita, it was a question of shita. You have to realize it's not just the Alter Rebbe came with a big shita. For example, the Alter Rebbe said that the concept of a tzimtzum, that Hashem contracted himself, it's not kipshutai. The Eibishter's presence is 100% in every place in this world. Tzimtzum is not kipshutai. The Vilna Gaon disagreed. But if you look in the Geras, Shari Yichud B'munah, the way the Alter Rebbe writes about anyone that disagrees with his opinion, is like, he's April's fool. Mixes chachamim beineim, Hashem yechaper ba'adam. The Alter Rebbe, So there was a sharp machloikus. We find that Tzemach Tzedek made a shalom to the extent that if you learn the Nefesh HaChaim, Shar Gimel Perek Zayin, Reb Chaim Volozhin, which is a Talmud of the Vilna Gaon, says that Tzimtzum is not Kipshutay, which is a remarkable thing. So Tzemach Tzedek, the shalom that he made, he was a Isha shalom. His whole life was dedicated to make shalom between Chassidim and Misnagdim. And, make up Shora, the Shoichet will be the Chosed, the Rav will be Misnagdim. If you think about it for a moment, this is a sort of a Balabatish Geret. It's a genius Pshora. The Rav is more Choshev position. So Tzemach Tzedek said, this is the 101 in making shalom. This is how you're going to make shalom bayis in your house. And you're going to say, Nish gefeirlich, I mache shalom. Be'ikah what I say will go. The guy says to his wife. And, once in 100 times, if you say something, I'll take in consideration. Tzemach Tzedek missed. Like in the story, he said, the Rav will be Masnagit. I don't care. Chaslavich was Lubavitch, a city. The Moshe Soloveitch was the Rav. Shoichet will be a Chosed. So Tzemach Tzedek was the union of Achdus. What do we learn from this? Even though they're different, we learn from this that a person will say, there's always a Yetzer Hara that says, who am I to make shalom? I'm going to get involved and make shalom. And I'm like a gesunter Kopf, a kranke Bet. You ever heard this expression?
What?
I'm going to get involved in a messy thing, machloikis, and make shalom. And there could be an opposite. If it's, this is riffraff, these two yuklach, it's not lefi chvoidi to get involved with these guys, or this couple, or the other, it's like, he's a Rosh Yeshiva, he's a 500 Talmidim, I'm going to try to influence the Rosh Yeshiva to make Shalom and Klal Yisrael, I'm going to try to influence the big Askonim, who am I? So the answer, just like in the other times, we said like Rabbi Lazar Mechasim and Hillel. Rabbi Lazar Mechasim, Hillel's Mechayev Anim, Rabbi Lazar Mechasim Mechayev Hashidim. Same thing here, it comes to make Shalom, so so the Aaron HaKohen teaches us, don't say, they're very simple people. It's not for me. This is the stam, This is the underbelly of the Jewish kehila. This is not for chas v'shalom. Every yid is important, so you have to try to make shalom by every yid. And lider, they say, he's a big person. He's already a from yid. He knows shas poiskim. Try to influence him to make shalom between him and other shittas. So the answer is fakert. Chazal say Talmid Chochem shenim serevav big dechayev misa. If a person's takar shas yid and he's a godel b'Yisrael, but is a godel b'Yisrael, is fakert because of his big maila is neged that this yid should have avos Yisrael more than other person. And if he's not on track with avos Yisrael Rachman al-Islam, the chisaron is even bigger. Chazal say, this is Yalkut Shemoini, Doirish Shalachav Kulam Oiv Davei Dezora, by Dei Shaloyo Bayan Dilaturin, or Yoitzam Lachama Venoitzchen. They got along. They got home to the barracks. They all took a little shot of whiskey. They made a bracha. They bowed to Avodah Zarah, the worst of the worst. But they were good friends. So they were always matzliach. However, Doirish Shal David or Yoidam Lidrish Torah b'memtes Panim Torah b'memtes Panim Tomei v'achi kol hashevach hazeh yoitzim machoma v'noiflam. They were brilliant. They could learn Torah. Every person could figure out 49 reasons why it's Torah and 49 reasons why it's Tomei. I mean, every person, the Doirish Shal David Tamid Chachamim. Why were they noiflim? Because they didn't get along. So the bottom line is, Chazal say, God la shalom shafili yisrael oiv david dezara v'shalom b'neim amar amokim en yochel lishlut b'hem. Give me shalom b'neim. So b'meila, that's the lesson. When it comes the fifth night of Chag HaSukkos, that's the lesson of Aaron HaKohen and the Tzemach Tzedek. The next night, the sixth night of Chag HaSukkos, the Ushpizin is Yosef HaTzadik and the Rebbe Marash. Tonight, really we should make l'chaim, as tonight is the Yortzeit Rebbe Marash, Chetchila Riber. So the Yosef HaTzadik is what's Yosef HaTzadik? Yosef HaTzadik is the sphere of Yisoid. The Rebbe Marash is the sphere of Das. Das and Yisoid are doch connected. What's the bottom line? If you look at Yosef HaTzadik, what was Yosef HaTzadik? It was Moshe L'Kippah. He was the boss. The Rebbe Marash also, his Avodas Hashem was Chetchila Riber. He was, the Rebbe said once a story that his Zayda was a Rov. He wrote many Svarim. One of his Svarim, the Kavnoki. Every Masada Gittin uses the Sefer, Kavnoki. Ask any Masada Gittin, what's the main Sefer you use? Is Tiv Gittin, which was the Rebbe Zayda. So, I remember what's it, just...
That's a Tiv Gittin is the name
Tiv
of the
Gittin is a
Sefer.
different Sefer. The Chaim Zalman Magolas.
Oh.
But Kavnoki is Rabbi Avram David Lavut. Rabbi Avram David Lavut was the grandfather of Lubavitcher Rebbe. I remember once Rabbi Hershel Shechter's father, he gave a shir in Yeshiva University for those that were doing Dayanas. And he said, so what, he was talking about Gittin. He was saying that the main sefer you have to know is you have to have the Kavnoki. So someone asked him, who's the Kavnoki? So he says, ich weiß nicht, Punkt. I just know he was a devout Lubavitcher Chossid. And so he came back from Lubavitch, and in his town, he was a younger man. They said, what did you see? So he said about the Rebbe Marash. Rebbe Marash was like a king, he was He was in a way of like Malchus Shebe Malchus. He described the way, had 4 white horses and a coachman, and he would dress with the gold, with the chains, and with the vest. So one of the fellows asked, he said, Rebbe, I don't understand. You can give so much tzedakah with this money. You can help out so many people with this money. Why would a Rebbe be wasting so much money to live such a rich life? So Rabbi Avram David said, Petach, well, what kind of foolish question is this? He said, who did Rebbeinu Shalom create gold and silver for? For the Tsar, for the Goyim, for tzaddikim, v'dei tzaddik, and the Eber b'shafen the gold and the silver. Bottom line is that Yosef HaTzadik was Malchus. In other words, Malchus, I mean that he was Toikif, and also the Rebbe Marash had that thing of Toikif. And the difference is obvious, a very huge difference. In the days of Yosef HaTzadik, there was no shibud. As long as even one of the Shvatim were alive, there was no shibud. Forget, he took care, no chas v'shalom, no one could touch a Jew as long as Yosef was alive. The days of the Rebbe Marash, Rachmana litzlan, was the Shfal HaMatzav for Yidden in Europe, and in terms of pogroms, 1880, 1881. And this is how many Jews migrated from Russia to the United States at that time. The Frierdiker Rebbe said that he once, his father asked him to do a toiva for someone. So he did the toiva, he came back, his father said, no, you did the toiva? He said, I did the toiva and I did it behidur. His father said, you made a mistake. You didn't do that person a toiva. That person, the Rebbeinu Shalom Tamar is geholfen. When you were mishtadelt, you did him a toiva, you did yourself a toiva. You did yourself a toiva. And he said, I want to tell you a story about my father, the Rebbe Marash. That in 1880, when the pogroms were, obviously these pogroms are all fomented by the government. These are not spontaneous events, sporadic events.
18. What was Tsar Alexander was murdered? What, I think 1880? No. So, I don't know. I know it had to do with immigration, with the pogroms.
But the pogroms are definitely, sanctioned by the Russian government.
History. The Black Hundreds.
Exactly. Now the Black Hundreds later, really. The Black Hundreds later. So the Rebbe Marash met with key government officials about calming down the stopping the pogroms. They said they wanted to have an official delegation, Jewish delegation. In other words, not only the Rebbe, there was rich, wealthy Jews, or influential Jews that lived in Petersburg. So the Rebbe Marash made an asifa. At the asifa, one of the wealthy Jews, there was secular Jews, got up and said, listen, if the Lubavitcher Rebbe thinks that we're significant people, he should always, fragen uns Eitze. But if it's just today that he needs us as puppet, was an nicht kein, Schach Spielzeug. We're not. So the Rebbe Marash said, it says in the Posuk that Mordechai says to Esther, Im hachrish tachrish beis azois revach vatzolo yamad yudem mokum acher v'ato beis avichta vegu. What's the pshat? Revach vatzolo yamad yudem mokum acher. That for sure the Eibishter has a way to do the Revach vatzolo. V'ato beis avich, you're going to lose the schus. The schus, you have now the same thing said the Rebbe, the Rashab to his son, that you have the schus to do a toiva to a yid. That's your schus. So the toiva you did for yourself. The toiva you did for yourself. Okay, there's more hemshech to the story, but the time is short. Maybe another time we'll get to the end of the story. about how the Rebbe Marash actually stopped the pogroms. The bottom line, he did was matzliach. We're going to go to the last Ushpizin, which is the last night, David HaMelech and the Rebbe Rashab. We have to have potable klumi efshe for that is for a little story about the Rebbe Rashab. So this is one of my favorite stories.
That's what the Ushpizin stop at the Rebbe.
It's a shine Rabbe. David HaMelech.
What's mit der Rayats and the...
Der ist schon wer größer Chosset jetzt. No. I hear.
And the Ramash.
So was Shmini Atzeres ist auch gestohrt.
Those are a little more
Das
common.
Shmini Atzeres ist auch gestohrt. Okay.
That's why he's speaking like a good.
That's what I'm saying. That it's wer Chosset.
Just a simple question. The math doesn't compute.
Okay.
So by tonight is the Yortzat of the
Oh, the Rebbe Marash, yeah. Okay, you're right. L'chaim. Should be l'chatchila riber.
Amen.
In our avodas Hashem, we should never look at meniyos v'yekuvim. We should go l'chatchila riber.
Amen. L'chaim bracha.
Right. Even if we look at the Welt as a place with many, geshet tzar meyoy, but we have to know we have to go l'chatchila riber.
I'm going to get some mashka, have a little tiny bit.
Oh, yeah, please. Okay, let's quickly finish. David HaMelech and Rebbe Marash. Hopefully.
You can bring.
So, you bring Peretz is bringing.
Pay big some mashka.
There's a story with the Rebbe Rashab. The Rechoset came to the Rebbe Rashab. He said his wife had terrible migraine headaches. He said he went to the Tzemach Tzedek. But Tzemach Tzedek said, no, what's the big deal? He said doctors couldn't help. They had no trufa. So he said, you know what? Every night before your wife goes to sleep, you should take very hot water and wash her head. She did it every night. No headaches. So when Tzedek passed away, the headaches came back. So he came to Rebbe Marash. The Rebbe Marash smiled. He said, no. If hot water doesn't work, try cold water. Every night she'd wash her head with cold water. Every night she'd wash her head with cold water, and the headaches went away.
That's cute.
Yeah, get a little deal. And then the Rebbe Marash passed away. Choset came to the Rebbe Rashab and said, what should I do? So he smiled. He said, no, if the cold water doesn't work and the hot water, mix a little cold and hot. It should be lukewarm. Warm water, sure. Wash your head. And it worked. Loi malach, it's not the cold water, it's not the hot water. It's a tzaddik, the tefillah of a tzaddik. So that's the union of. So B'meila, David HaMelech and the Rebbe Rashab. David HaMelech is Chayola Beis David. The Rebbe Marash said that he wants his Talmidim should be Chayola Beis David. The Chayola Beis David was a famous sicha. He said that the Gemara says, Hayoytz Mechamas Beis David, Koises get Krisus Liishtoi, that he would go out. Before they'd go out in the war, they'd write a get to their wife. So Zabazachi said that my Talmidim, they should write a get to Olam Haza. They should, in their mind, they're going out on the mission. And Avodas Hashem, there's nothing of Olam Haza that's significant besides their Avodas Hashem. So that's what we have in common. David HaMelech and Rebbe Rashab. L'chaim. Every night of this Chag HaSukkos, we should talk about the 7 Ushpizin. We should tell stories of the 7 Ushpizin. We should be zeiche to feel and get our order of the kedusha and the Torah of the Ushpizin. L'chaim.